Hey everyone, and welcome to my final part of my Dominaria Set review. Today we're going to be doing the multicolored artifacts and lands. So, yeah. If you haven't checked out the previous parts and are listening to this for information, I would recommend listening to the first part of the white video for talking about like how I'm evaluating these cards. But in short, I'm talking about them for limited and making notes when I'm like thinking about things for one of the commander decks I've done the deck on. So let's jump right in. First up here we have Adeliz, the Cinder Wind, who is a 3-mana, 1 blue red for the 2/2 flying in haste human wizard, which is a relevant creature type, and whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, wizards you control get +1/+1 on your turn. Now, I think if you just look at this as a 2-mana, 2/2 flying haste, I think that's just a solid card and it's fine. One thing I should note about a lot of the gold cards is that I will be evaluating these assuming you are in those colors, and I will make a note if I believe it's worth splashing for. Granted, green has the best ways to splash, but also there are a few artifacts if you're not in green. As for this card, I don't really think you're going to want to splash it. Like, I mean, it's a good body, but it isn't doing that much. The fact that it's second line of text requires a lot of stuff to come together. First, you have to have a lot of wizards. Granted, it itself, it has that. So it essentially has prowess. If you have more wizards and instants and sorceries, which you're not running a lot of in limited deck, yeah, I think, but for effectively a 2/2 flying haste prowess, I think Adeliz is a fine card, but not one I would go out of my way to like play and splash for. I'm actually considering making a commander deck for her, because I've wanted to make a wizards deck, but none of when they did like the wizards like commander deck, none of the commanders really appealed to me as like a wizards commander. Next up is Arvad the Cursed. 3 white black for a 3/3 with Death Touch and Lifelink. Honestly, those stats I think are fine. I mean, its stats are a little bit below, but I mean, Death Touch and Lifelink are 2 very good stats. And it also says other legendary creatures you control get +2/+2. This is one I would consider splashing if you have at least like 3 other legendaries, then you might want to splash for it. But as is, like in the colors, I think is a solid creature, and even if you have a few other legendary creatures, that +2/+2 is a good boost. So yeah, no, I like Arvad the Cursed, but to want to splash for him, you're gonna want to actually have a fair few legendaries. But yeah, no. Next up is Ariel, Knight of Windgrace. She's a lady riding a giant panther. Automatically great. Moving on. But in all reality, she's a 2 white black for a 4/4 with vigilance. I should also note that there's an uncommon legend for each of the color pairings, and then I believe there's a rare for each of the color pairings, but I'm not sure. She's a 4-mana 4/4 vigilance base stats, good, passes the vanilla test, and 2 and a white, tap it, and you can create a white knight creature token with vigilance, so she can pump out tokens, and since she has vigilance, she can attack and then do it on like the opponent's end step to make more 2/2s. You can also pay black and tap her, and tap X untapped knights you control, and destroy target creature with power X or less. So her herself, she can kill 0 power creatures, and once she starts pumping out a few knights, you can just like, if you have critical mass of knights, like you can just start mowing down their board. And being a good body already is quite nice, and quite nice with a K, because it's like knights. Otherwise, you're gonna white black also has a lot of incidental knights, and if you got that, that's quite nice. But yeah, no, I think she's good. And I think she's splashable, but I would want to be I guess it being white based doesn't matter because it's like the main ability is creating tokens, I believe, and I guess if you only have your one white source, that doesn't matter because she taps for the ability and doesn't do it otherwise. Yeah, no, I think she's fine. She's actually quite good, and kind of worth splashing if you can. Also, I should note that I mean splashing as in you're in one of the colors and you want to like everything. Don't do a full off-color splash. Next up is Dargaz, Reincarnated, who is 4 enjund, so black, red, green, for a dragon, which is a legendary dragon, which is a 7/7 flying, trample, and a haste. That alone is a beating, and if it would die, instead exile it with 3 egg counters on it. And during your upkeep, if you remove an egg counter, and then if it has no egg counters, you can return to the battlefield. And it has flying, trample, haste. Like, this is amazing. Obviously, you probably want base green to like ramp out to it and fix your colors, but this is one where it is triple color, which can be hard to cast. But if you're in any of these 2 color or 3 color combos, like if you're playing Rakdos, Gruul, or Golgari, you want to bend over backward to play this card if you can open it, because that will kill people very quickly. You need an exile effect to get rid of it, and it just will end games. Next up is Garna, the Blood Flame, who is 3 black and red for a 3/3 flash. And when it enters the battlefield, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere this turn, and other creatures you control have haste. This one thing's fine. It's not, like, the effect is nice, and like being a 3/3 with flash is okay, but giving other things haste is relevant because the idea is like you do a huge block or something, and then you flash in your opponent's turn, you one tap with everything, you replay all the creatures you can just swing in for the big life total. But I think it has a high ceiling, but its floor is like medium. I mean, you do have to hold up 5 mana, which is a lot, to like flash her in like on an opponent's turn or whatnot. So I think Garna's okay. I think she's not that amazing, but she's okay. I might test her in humans. Next up is Grand Warlord Rada, which is 2 red-green for a legendary creature, Elf Warrior, who is a 3/4 with haste. Obviously, like, 3/4 isn't like I prefer my 4/4s, but 3/4 with haste is quite solid. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control attack, add that much red or green mana in any combination as you want. It's your mana pool, and you don't lose it as phases until the end turn. Yeah, no, I like Rada. Again, I don't know if you want to splash for her, but in that, like, especially the kicker deck, just being able to just pump out extra mana to like get these good kicker spells she does like a boss. I am going to be putting her to warriors because she's very good in warriors. Just imagine like attacking with like 10 creatures and then getting to like secure the wastes for like 15. Oh, that'd be nice. I know, I like Grand Warlord Rada. Next up is Halar, the Fire Flitcher, who is a 3 mana 3/3 trample, where 1 red and green. That alone I am fine with. Who's an elf archer. And whenever you cast a spell, if that spell is kicked, put a +1/+1 counter on Halar. Then Halar deals damage equal to a number of +1/+1 counters on it to each opponent. I mean, its stats alone, their stats alone, they use they them pronouns, are real solid. They're 3 for 3 that has the potential to grow. I can get behind. I don't know if you really want to splash for this because, I mean, red-green is kind of like the kicker colors, but, yeah, no, I like it. It's just a real solid card. I feel the damage is not super relevant, and in limited you're mostly there just kind of like to be a good body that grows with the game. Next up is Joyra, Weatherlight Captain, who is 2 blue and red for a 3/3 human artificer. So 4 mana 3/3. Okay, whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. In limited, I think she's okay. I mean, if you're in her colors and you have like a fair few sagas and like other legends and like a few artifacts, I think she'd be real solid, and like getting that card draw is really nice. I mean, her stats are a little bit below average, and this isn't really the thing you want to be splashing. As for decks I want to put this in, this is going right into Super Friends because it turns all of your planeswalkers into drawing new cards. It is one of the reasons, like the draws of the set, that makes me kind of want to move humans back to 5 color. Maybe. But yeah, no, those are the 2 main decks I'm looking to put them in, so yeah. Next up is Joda, Archmage Eternal, which is 1 Jeskai, so blue, red, and white, for a 4/3 flyer. So 4 mana 4/3 flyer, I'm already in. And you may pay Wooburg rather than pay the mana cost for spells that you cast. Okay, so that second ability in limited is pretty much irrelevant. It's usually easier just to get to the point where you're playing that card instead of getting to Wooburg mana. But as a 4 mana 4/3 flying, like, that's a solid card. Which means it is triple color, so it is a trade-off. Like, and you're not in green, so you don't get the green fixing. So if you have the fixing to make him work, I think he's fine. But if not, he is a liability to cast sometimes. He's the person I'm considering for being in my, if I switch humans back to 5 color instead of Tazri, because he actually does stuff for the deck, unlike Tazri, and is a decent body, unlike Tazri. Next up is Muldrotha the Gravetide, who is 3 in Sultai, so black, green, and blue, for a 6 mana for 6/6, legendary elemental avatar. And during each of your turns, you may play up to 1 permanent card of each permanent type from your graveyard. Muldrotha is amazing. I mean, it essentially lets you kind of like, I mean, obviously you're probably not going to be playing more than like a few things from your graveyard turns. The 1 per turn doesn't matter. So it essentially turns your graveyard into like a new hand, and it's really hard to get rid of. And permanents are mostly what you're working with in limited. And Muldrotha is amazing. Your greens are your easiest to splash, and Muldrotha is just good. Very good. It's hard to kill anything while she's on the battlefield, so. I'm just going right into the CDC, and I'm actually be looking at making a Brawl deck for her. Assuming I just don't make 5 color humans in Brawl, even though it's not really a supported archetype. Next up is Oath of Teferi, which is 3 white and blue for legendary enchantment, and when it enters the battlefield, you could do flicker something, so you exile it and then returns battlefield under its next end step. And you may activate the loyalty abilities of planeswalkers you control twice each turn, rather than only once. It's going right into Super Friends, and honestly for the first ability, might be going right into Brago. But otherwise, it's just a fantastic card. I should say, it's a fantastic card for EDH. In limited, it's not good. Like, obviously, if you have a planeswalker, yeah, no, then it becomes great. Or then it becomes okay. And I mean, if you have something that, like, wants to the ETB effect, but if not, like, that's a 5 mana flicker, and it's really not something I'm looking to do. So, I'm not big on Oath of Teferi for limited. But I just got very excited for how good it'll be in some of my decks for EDH. Next up is Primeval's Glorious Rebirth, which is 5 white black for a legendary sorcery that says return all legendary permanent cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. I'm not a fan of this one in limited. It's a lot of mana, it's a legendary sorcery, and you're not probably going to have that many legendaries in your graveyard. Most of them are uncommons, at least. And yeah, I'm just not a fan of it. And you also need another legendary in play. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Primeval Scourge Rebirth in Limited. Not something I'm looking to play. However, it is going right into Super Friends because it hits all those Planeswalkers. And it's probably going to I'm going to test it in humans. And also pushing humans to probably be a bit more, have a bit heavier legendary sub-theme, perhaps. Okay, next up is Wrath Capuchin, Ship's Mage, which is a 4 mana, so 2 white, blue, for 3/3 with flash, flying, and you may cast historic spells as if they had flash. So, stats alone, 4 mana, 3/3 flash flying is a card I'm looking to play. Honestly, we'll a lot of times just do 3 damage out of nowhere because you get to flash in it at the end of their turn and then swing it for 3, which is honestly a great surprise factor for an evasive creature like this. Also as a wizard, which is relevant. And this is another one of the cards that might be pulling me into going back to putting blue back into my humans deck. I think the cast historic spells as they get flash is nice bonus, but isn't needed to make it work. So, like, it's a nice little bonus if you have those, but he is worth playing even if you don't. Next up is Rona, Disciple of Gix, which is 1 blue-black for a 2/2, and when it enters battlefield, you may exile target historic card from your graveyard. You may cast non-lock cards exiled of Rona. You can pay 4 and tap to exile the top card of your library. So, even if you don't get the ETB effect, I think she's quite great, quite fine. I mean, she is very dirtily because she does in many ways become a 4 mana tap, like, pseudo draw card that can't be a land. And yeah, no, I think as kind of like a dirtle card, like long game, I think she's really good. You can get a lot of value from her. So yeah, I'll pay 4 mana to draw. Oh, excuse me, hiccups. Draw a card. Next up is Shana, Sisei's Legacy. It's 1 green for a human warrior that cannot be the target of abilities your opponents control. So it's like a bad version of Hexproof that gets +1/+1 for each creature you control. I feel like if you're in that Saproling deck, like if you already have enough making Saprolings, this can be real good. Or if you're just anywhere, like also maybe the kind of like the knights, if you have like some things that like make knight tokens and stuff, she'd be good. She is nice in that she scales the game. Like, floor is not great. She becomes a 2 mana 1/1, but she can grow quite well. So I'm happy with her unlimited, but not something I'm really looking to splash. Unless I'm like going all in on like black-green Saprolings, then I might like look to splash the white. But you need a reason to want to splash her. As for decks, she might go into humans, because it is kind of go wide, but she will be going into warriors because that one is definitely a go wide strategy. And she's a warrior, so. And she has awesome armor. Next up is Slimefoot the Stowaway, who is a 1 black and green for a 2/3 fungus. And whenever a Saproling you control dies, Slimefoot deals 1 damage to each opponent and you gain 1 life. You also may pay 4 and create a 1/1 green Saproling creature token. This is just great. It makes tokens, it drains your opponent for your Saprolings, it's a great Saproling payoff. His body is acceptable. And this is one I think is splashable. It's a card you're gonna want to splash, and yeah, no, I'm happy with it. Good job, Slimefoot. You're really cute and good and amazing, and we love you, Slimefoot. Next up is Tatiova, Benthic Druid, which is 3 blue-green for a 3/3, so 5 mana 3/3, and not great. But she says, whenever a land enters battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life and draw a card. She is very good. Just it turns all your land draws into life, and like you rarely will have a non-life draw. She's very much like you, great to splash, and I really like her. She's going right into Vile Smasher Ramp. other than that, I could honestly see her like just slotting into any blue-green EDH deck, so also Sidisi and things like that. So yeah, no, I like Totobia. She's just very good. Like, her stats aren't great, but that ability is so powerful. Next up we have Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, who is absolutely gorgeous. He's 3 white-blue for a 4-mana planeswalker with +1, draw a card, beginning the next end step, untap up to 2 lands. Okay, good. +1, draw a card. I can get behind that. -3, put target non-land permanent into its owner's library, throw from the top. Protects itself by getting things off the board. Very good. And -8, you can emblem with, whenever you draw a card, exile target permanent an opponent controls. You're not likely to get that, but obviously that's amazing. Yeah, no, Teferi is very good. Teferi is very good. Very good. Yeah, no, unlimited, in terms of, like, non-limited points, I can see him put him into Brago. You probably could put him into, he's obviously going into Super Friends. But yeah, no, assuming I get one. But, I can't actually afford the Bush product for Dominaria, unfortunately. But, yeah, no, very good card. Play him. Also very splashable. And here we have Tiana, Ship's Caretaker, who is a 5-mana 3/3 flying for a strike, 3 red, white. So those stats alone are really nice. And whenever an aura or equipment when you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that to your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So obviously the auras are more relevant here. Your equipment isn't going to the graveyard that often. But just being able to cycle them is great. She's a great target for auras and equipment, and in that red-white like auras equipment deck, she's amazing. And even on that deck, she's a solid body that I think I would consider splashing for. So, yeah. Alright, now we're on to artifacts. So, got Aesthera Glider, which is a 3-mana 2/1 flying that cannot block. This just isn't good. Like, not being able to block is like actually a huge liability, and I guess maybe if you have some of the like, and 2/1 flying is for 3 is and maybe if you have like historic stuff, like it can like become okay, but I'm just not huge on it. Next up is Armoranthine Wall, which is a 4-mana 0/6 of Defender, and you can pay 2 and give it Indestructible. I don't actually know how good this is. Like, it blocks amazingly. If you need to, it can block almost anything with a little bit extra mana. But I mean, it is 4 mana. I think if you're trying to go for like a real dirty like control deck, I think it can be a fine card. Yeah, I don't know how to grade this. I have a hunch that it's not one that won't be amazing, but it will be fine. But I'm also the person who did run in Kaladesh like 5 Consulate Skygates in a deck. So, yeah. Next step up is Black Blade Reforge, which is 2-mana equipment. An equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control. Its equip cost for legendaries is 3, but otherwise it's 7. If you don't have legendaries, this is way too expensive to be equipping. But that being said, if you do have legendaries, it's amazing and will do so much. But I think in most situations in limited, unless you have like critical mass of legendaries, like 3 to 4, preferably more, you're not going to want to run this card just because it's not practical to equip to non-legendary creatures, despite how powerful it is. As for EDH though, honestly I can see this card becoming an EDH staple. It's going right on into humans because Saskia wields this like a boss. It's going right into warriors because Samut is terrifying with Black Blade Reforged. But honestly, almost any EDH deck where you're like moving into the red zone if your commander can really do a lot of work. Yeah, no, it just does so much damage. And in EDH, because your commander is probably the one you have easy access to legendary, and also commander damage is a thing. Like Saskia, like she's a 3/4 normally with double strike. If you have 8 lands in play, that makes her lethal on her own, assuming you've done no commander damage with her. Well, not Saskia. Well, yes, well, I mean, Samut. I guess Saskia also doubles her damage, so yeah. No, Blackblade Reforged, just, ugh, gross. Next up is Blood Tallow Candle, which is a 1-mana artifact, so it helps you trigger, like, Historic very easily if you need to. You also can pay 6 and sack it to give target creature -5/-5. I think this is fine. 6 mana for giving target creature -5/-5 is a bit much, but the fact that it has the historic stuff in there and you get but it's like 6 mana is not the worst for essentially it's an artifact that will kill almost anything. So I'm happy with Blood Tallow Candle. Come on. Next up is Damping Sphere, which is a 2-mana artifact, which says if a land is tapped for 2 or more mana, it produces colorless instead of any other type and amount. For each spell a player casts, lost 1 more for each other spell that player has cast this turn. This is a constructed card and is not good and limited. Don't play it. I don't have much else to say. It just does not do anything to the board, and it's not like people are playing Tron in limited, so yeah. Next up is Forebear's Blade, which is a 3-mana equipment with equip 3, which is a bit much, but equipped creature gets +3/+0 in Vigilance and Trample, and whenever it dies, you may attach Forebear's Blade to a target creature you control. This is a great equipment, like Vigilance and Trample and +3/+0, like obviously I prefer some defense, but that's still great. And the fact that as long as you keep a creature on the board that you don't have to keep playing equip costs makes this very nice. So I like Forebear's Blade quite a lot. Next up is Gilded Lotus, which is a 5-mana artifact. It's a reprint. You can tap to add 3 mana of any one color. In limited, if you have like high kicker costs you need, or if you're like wanting to like splash an expensive creature like Muldrotha or the dragon that is terrifying, I could see playing this. I mean, otherwise, like if you don't have those like mana sinks, it's probably not worth it, because like ramping from 5 to 9 or 8 mana isn't really what you want. For EDH, honestly, I have a lot of decks that need this. I haven't picked up many Gilded Lotuses, and I could use them, and reprint is nice. So, yeah. You just have to have a use for it in limited to like make it worthwhile. Be it fixing or a good mana sink. Next up is Guardians of Koilos, which is a 5-mana 4/4, which when it enters the battlefield, you may return target historic permanent you control to its owner's hand. So, I mean, 5-mana 4/4, and it triggers historic, which is okay. And you can, the thing is, like, not many of the legendaries had ETB effects that you want to, like, abuse. And this isn't Flash, and I'm not huge on this. Like, maybe if you have the pieces, you might want it to work, but otherwise I'm not big on Guardians of Koilos. And now we have another potential EDH staple, and that is Helm of the Host. It's a 4-mana equipment with equip 5, so it is expensive. But to begin your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except it isn't legendary if the equipped creature is legendary, and it gains haste. Note, it does not say exile that token at the end of the turn, or into combat. It just stays there. It replicates the creature every turn. It has an equip cost of 5, which is quite high, but its upside is there. And yeah, no. Obviously you run a little bit of ramp to make this going, but otherwise it's just great. It's also not in your upkeep, so you don't have to wait a whole turn cycle after you equip it. You just get to put it there. So yeah, no, all about Helm of the Host. Decks I'm looking to put this in. All of them. In all seriousness, probably, okay, definitely Saskia. So humans, Samut Warriors, Brago. This in Brago? Getting multiple Bragos? Like, and granted, I'm already trying to abuse ETB effects and whatnot, but yeah, no. What else? Yeah, no, there's just so many of them. Yeah, no. If you have a Gideon Planeswalker and you use one of the abilities to turn into a creature, you equip this, you get to make second Gideons, and you can make more Gideons. How does that sound? You can go all Ixalan Jace on it. Yeah. But you know, I feel Unlimited, you do need the mana and ramp to make this work, but it has a high payoff, even if it is kind of slow. It's quite terrifying. And can run away with games if you're able to untap with it. So, yeah. Next up is Howling Golem. It is a 3-mana 2/3 that whenever it attacks, each player draws a card. I'm not big on this. I'm not big on giving my opponents advantage. It's not a great body in general. Like, if it was like a 4/4 for 3, maybe. But as is, it's a 2/3 for 3. I'm not looking to play this. I don't like giving my opponent cards, even if I'm getting cards too. You're having to pay the mana and do everything to make it work, and yeah, not a fan of Howling Golem. Next up is Icy Manipulator, which is 4 mana for an artifact that you can pay 1 and tap it to tap any artifact, creature, or land. This is an amazing card. You can keep something out of the game, and you can change what you want to keep out of the game, and Ice Manipulator is just, it's one of the premium uncommon cards you know, and you're not going to see a lot of these pass because it's colorless. Turns out Ice Manipulator is a good card. It's just removal. That is very good removal. Next up is Joyra's Familiar, which is a 4 mana 2/2 flying, which is historic cards you cast cost 1 less to cast. I feel if you have enough historic cards, it's fine. It can be good. Otherwise, it's fine. I mean, 4 mana for a 2/2 flyer is a bit expensive, but it's historic itself for things that care about that. And I think if you have the historic payoffs, it becomes quite good. Otherwise, it's not embarrassing to put in your deck. Next up is Jousting Lance, which is a 2 mana equipment with equip 3. Again, a little bit high, but it gives +2/+0, and as long as it's your turn, it also has first strike. So it allows you to attack with this like a boss. Obviously, it's not as good on the defense, and this is a solid equipment. And equipment also is normally like okay, but because there's also a lot of cards that care about equipment, I think that if you're in that like red-white deck, it becomes a lot better. Next up is Juggernaut, which is a 4 mana 5/3 that attacks each combat Fable and can't be blocked by walls. I'm not high on this. I mean, 4 mana 5/3 isn't even that great stats. 3 toughness means that it's easily killed. And I think there's 1 wall in the set. So, yeah. I'm not high on Juggernaut. Next up is Mishra's Self-Replicator, which is a 5 mana 2/2 that whenever you cast an Explore spell, you may pay 1. If you do, create a copy of the Self-Replicator. And so I feel if you have a lot of historic spells, this is really good. Otherwise, it's unplayable. So I think it's a fun, like potential for a fun deck, but I don't think it's a good deck. Because, yeah, no, it's cool because like the first one you get like 2 and you get 4. It's like it's like do almost like a Polyraptor thing, but it's a lot more workaround than that. And yeah, I'm not big on Mishra's Self-Replicator, and I'm the one who loves dirtily stupid decks. So next up is Mox Amber, which is a 0 mana artifact which you can tap to add 1 mana of any color among legendary creatures and planeswalkers you control. I think this is unplayable unlimited. Moving on. Thing is just that it doesn't help you fix, like it doesn't help you ramp that well. It's very situational, so I'm not a fan. I am considering putting in Disco Friends though, because that's a deck that like really can use these effects. Yeah. Next up is Navigator's Compass, which is a 1-mana artifact. And when it enters the battlefield, you gain 3 life. And you can tap it, and until end of turn, the target land you control becomes the basic land type of your choice, in addition to its other types. This is kind of like bad Panharmonicon. It's like you gain some life, which is relevant. It triggers Historic, which is fine, and it helps you fix, which is fine. I think that's overall fine. Like, it's one you'll pick up if you need to fix, and it's probably going to be one of the main like fixing for non-green decks. And then life is relevant, and the 1 mana for Historic card and those triggers is nice. So I think Navigator's Compass is fine. Next up is Paick Wanderer, which is a 6-mana 5/5 trample. I mean, it's not wonderful, but I mean, if you need kind of like a big creature, I think it's fine. Like, it has trample, which is relevant on a 5/5 body, but it's not the best 6-drop, but you could do worse. Not much else to say. Next up is Power Stone Shard, which is a 3-mana artifact, which you can tap and add colorless for each artifact you control named Power Stone Shard. So obviously it's like, I feel like in most decks you don't want this unless you're like in that like kicker deck and trying to get off these huge kickers for extra effects. But even then it's not the best deck. So I'm not huge on Power Stone Shard, especially since it doesn't produce colored mana. So we also haven't seen that many X spells that like can like take advantage to truly huge amounts of mana. So if you have the mana sinks, and you can try to pick these up and go off of them, but it's most of the time it will be tapping for just 1, sometimes 2, because it's like, to get 2 into play consistently, you're probably gonna need at least like 4 of these in your deck, and you don't want to be running 4 of these in your deck. Alright, we got Shield of the Realm, which is a 2-mana equipment, which with equip 1, which I think is great equip cost. It especially for that equip deck, which cares about this. And it says, if a source would deal damage to equip creature, prevent 2 of that damage. It effectively means it's +2 plus O plus 2, except it gets +2 then plus 2 more toughness for every like blocker it's blocking it, because it's like each individual source has its power reduced by 2. I think it's great. I think it's a solid. It makes it really hard to defeat in combat. And the equip ones, you like shuffle it around your guys, so like you can hold 1 guy on defense very easily. So I like Shield of the Realm if you're in that kind of like the equipment deck. I feel if you're don't have the equipment payoffs, it's okay. It's not great, but it's fine. Next up is Short Sword, which is a 1-mana equipment that gives the equipped creature +1/+1, an equip of 1. If you're in the equip deck, you might run this, and if you need those payoffs. If not, I don't think it's great. So, yeah, it just doesn't do enough. This isn't Amonkhet where you can make the Slither Blade Hone Kopesh deck. You're just not doing that in this format. Next up is Skittering Surveyor, which is a 3-mana 1/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search for a basic land and put it in your hand. If you need the fixing, I think this is fine. Like, essentially, it's a 3-mana 1/2. It's not great, but it does kind of draw you a card and fixes you. So I'd run the first one if not fixing, and beyond that, maybe run like maybe 2 if you do need the fixing. Granted, the body isn't great. It also is relevant for Historic, so. But otherwise, for like kind of like your easy fixing sort of point of view, I think it's fine. Next up is Sorcerer's Wand, which is a 1-mana equipment with equip 3. An equipped creature has tap. This creature deals 1 damage to target player or planeswalker. If it's a wizard, it deals 2 damage instead. I'm not huge on this. Like, you can turn your... I guess, okay, if you're playing kind of like a very controlled deck and you, like, this is a win con, because you get to, like, it deals 2 damage to the opponent every turn. But, it is super slow, equip 3s a lot, and it doesn't affect the stats of the creatures at all, and if this hit creatures, I'd be totally out for that. But turning into a pinger, but this only, I'm not huge on Sorcerer's Wand, personally. Next up is Sparring Construct. It's a 1-mana 1/1 that when it dies, put a +1/+1 counter on each target creature you control. So you get like 2/2 worth of power out of it, but you do need another creature. I feel this is one that is decent if you have the historic triggers. If not, it's not something you would probably want to run. Next up is Thrian Temporal Gateway, which is a 4-mana legendary artifact with 4 and tap it, and put a historic permanent from your hand onto the battlefield. This is unplayable. Most of like the good historic cards are costing no more than like 5. The only place I might play that, like if you have that like Jund Dragon maybe, but even then that's really janky, and I don't think this is playable limited. I might consider playing this in Super Friends. Maybe. Perhaps. Obviously the Dream EDH is like tap 4, I bring up Blightsteel. But, yeah. Next up is Thraxos Scourge Approved, which is a legendary artifact creature construct. It was a 4-mana 7/7 trample. When it enters a battlefield tapped and does not untap during your untap step, and it only untaps when you cast a historic spell. I'm actually not huge on this. Like, you're not guaranteed to cast your historic spells every turn, so it's not even attacking every turn. Granted, if you just cast 1, it blocks very well. So, I mean, if you're in that kind of like historic deck, I think it's like white, blue, historic, I feel like it can be decent, but I'm not huge on Thraxos, and it's one of those that like you don't want to attack with him unless you can untap with him then. And he is terrible if your opponent has like an Icy Manipulator, so, or any of the other tappers, so. I'm iffy on Thraxos. If you can build around and make him work, he's great, but if not, like, and it seems like most decks likely won't, I'm not a fan. Next up is Urza's Tome, which is a 2-mana artifact, and you can pay 3 mana and draw a card, and then discard a card unless you exile a historic card from your graveyard. You know, as a dirtly card, I am fine with this. It's an artifact, relevant or historic, and essentially letting you loot, and occasionally just straight up draw a card for 3, I think is fine as kind of like a control payoff. Obviously, it's a good like mana sink. Obviously, you don't want to be doing this like, you want to be a specific time of deck, but you don't want to be like trying to be super fast, but it's kind of like a control, like incremental card advantage, that kind of thing. I like it. Next up is Voltaic Servant, which is a 2-mana 1/3 artifact creature. At the beginning of your end step, untap target artifact. Okay, this is good if you have Thraxos, otherwise I don't think you want to be playing this. Although it's a 2-mana 1/3, which is fine if you care about historic. So, but if you can get Thraxos and like get like a few of these guys, which probably is pretty easy since no one else really wants that, then maybe go for it. Like if you can pack one, pick one Thraxos and like kind of get the Thraxstokes Voltaic Servant deck, I kind of want to play that deck. Next up is the Weatherlight. It's a 4-mana, 4/5 flying vehicle with crew 3. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, reveal top 5 cards of your library, reveal a historic card from among them and put it in your hand, put the rest in the bottom in a random order. Okay, looking at the top 5 I think is relevant. I mean, if you have enough creatures that can do the crew 3, so you don't want to, if most of your creatures are beefy enough to crew the Weatherlight, it is a 4/5 flyer, which is nice, and digging down 5 and not like strictly spending a card for that really lets you dig for your legendaries and stuff, which are often your best cards. So I can really get behind the Weatherlight, and that is gorgeous artwork. So yeah, no, I like the Weatherlight a lot. Although you do need to have the creatures that can crew it. If you don't have that, then it's not wonderful. This is going right into humans. Next up we have Cabal Stronghold, we're into lands now. So it can tap for colorless, and you can pay 3 and tap it for each basic swamp you control. So obviously it's a callback to Cabal Coffers. I think it's unlimited. I don't think it's that good, because you need to have at least 4 swamps to get it, and to make it tap for 1 black, and 5 swamps to make it tap for 2 black. So yeah, I'm not big on this unlimited. You're just not playing, like in monocolor, yeah, no, then it becomes like better. But unlimited, you're not playing monocolor, so I'm not big on Cabal Stronghold. Okay, I'm going to go through all these. These are the check lands. These are the enemy color check lands. So when they enter the battlefield, they check to see if you have a basic land type of one of the colors that you have. If you do, they enter untapped. If not, these are ones that either you'll pick up, you'll draft for money, because, I mean, they will be worth a fair amount and they're useful. And if you need a splash, or if they're in your colors, you'll be fine, but there's not much to say about them. Harbor, yeah. And there's one more, but we'll get through them. But next up is Memorial to Folly. This is a cycle of tap lands that tap for 1 color and then have a sacrifice effect, kind of like the Battle for Zendikar ones. This one adds black. You can tap to add black. You can pay 2 in black to sacrifice it to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. But I'm fine with this card. I think this is solid. Like in late game when you don't need as many lands, it helps you get back your big creature. And yeah, no. And like in limited, the tempo loss from having like 1 or 2 lands intertapped is not high. So, and I feel the utility this gives is quite nice. That said, you don't want to play these off color. Next up is Memorial to Genius. It is the blue one, enters tapped. You may pay 4 in a blue and sacrifice to draw 2 cards. I'm also gonna get behind this. Like, it's a late game, like, gives you value. Memorial to Glory. It's 4 and tap it. You make 2 1/1 white soldiers. It's the white one. Also just decent if you're in the colors. Obviously, I wouldn't go more than like 4 tap lands, but yeah. And then Memorial to Unity, which is 3 in a black, 3 mana in a green, or 2 in a green, and sacrifice it to look at the top 5 cards of your library and reveal a creature card from among them and put them in your hand. Because you're also your greens, you're be very creature based and it's limited. It pretty much lets you filter for a new creature. This one also I think is fine. Yeah. Alright, next up we have Memorial to War, which is probably the bad one of the group. And it's the red one. You can pay 5 and tap it to destroy target land with sacrificing it. This just isn't good. Like, by the time you're at like 6 mana, like destroying one of your opponent's land isn't that relevant, and land destruction isn't great and limited usually. So I'm just not behind Memorial to War. Oh, here's the final like check land. And oh, nope. And Zafrim Void, which is this is probably perhaps like my favorite from like a lore, like a past lore point of view. Zalfirin, if you don't know, was the Teferi's home, and during the Phyrexian invasion, he essentially warped them out of existence. They phased them out of existence, so they don't exist anymore, and they like never existed. To save them from essentially being overrun by the Phyrexians. Like the flavor text is, "The wind whispers, come home, but I cannot." It's so sad. But for the card itself, it enters untapped, and when it enters the battlefield, you get to scry 1, get into colorless. I think it's fine. You don't want to run more than maybe 2 of these, because then your mana starts hurting. And obviously, if you have a tight mana base, you may not want to run these, but yeah, no, it's a solid one. Okay, basic lands. Okay, this is very important. This is the most important part of the set review, and that's talking about the basic lands. So we got this Plains. This is by Jonas Stereo. This one's nice. You got like the nice like scene, like it got like the close up, like the grasses in the fields, and you got like some nice lakes. You have this great Benalian like city in the back, or Benalish city in the background, and nice like hills and stuff in the background. Very nice. I love basic lands. There's very few basic lands I don't like, but I'm just gonna go obsess with these lands. This plains, I like the just out of view, like, spires coming out of the back. Reminds me how it is a lot of times in Washington, where you'll just barely see in the distance, like, the shadow of, like, Mount Rainier. Not fully visible, but yeah. This one's nice because I think it's, like, one of the least plains-like plains. First of all, it's in the sky overlooking, like, a wetland. But otherwise it's cool. It has like all like the Sarin architecture and stuff like that. I probably want to pick up like a fair few of these because I want to use these definitely when I build my angel deck. Now this is part of a cycle that hails back to a series of utility lands and antiquities. This one I kind of like. It's like I like the circular use. I love how the sky is painted and the moon there. Very nice. I love how like the entire structure of it like kind of like points you to look at the center of this archway and like the ruins there. So okay, next up we have this island. You can see one of the campuses of Dominaria there and on the coastline and everything. Oh, very nice. Again, this one that's a bit more generic island, but I still really like it. I like the fantastical geology of this. I love that in art and stuff. This one is great. Like this one is just straight up underwater, and like you get that like nice look. It's like one of the merfolk cities, or maybe it's one of the yeah, it's merfolk. These are merfolk in the actual thing. But it's like really cool, and it's kind of like get like the lights coming through like the water and whatnot. So that one's really cool. And there's the next one with like the archway and the moon in the background and like this pool and everything. Oh, beautiful. I like basic lands. Here we have a nice swamp that's like an herborg. You see like you have like the Cabal headquarters in the background, which looks really cool, and yeah, beautiful. This one, is that like a hunk of like, is that like, I think that might be a broken Phyrexian device. I'm not sure actually. That's nice. I mean, it's overshadowed by the last one, so. I like, you get nice like skeleton down here, so nice like spooky vibes. I love the green. I love the stairway to the archway that leads to nowhere. And again, like the depiction of the moon right there. Alright, now this is just great. Like I love like the depiction of like the mountain pass and like the road leading towards the pass and like the nice like sheer mountains, but still the very like lush like autumnal colors like from the foreground. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Again with like the fantasy geology with like the lava there, like drawing your eyes to the center there. But the otherwise like very like minimalistic sky. And you got another one of those spires just barely in the background. We got here. I think that's Keld. But yeah, no, just got like that city like upon the lava and it's all jagged and whatnot. And here again, we got another archway with the same circular designs. All like covered in grass and like overgrown and ruins and whatnot. Okay, now into forests. Like, I love this like just like forest walkway through the trees. It's beautiful. I should go on a walk after this. Ah, this one's great. This one almost gives me like Zendikar vibes, this one, like a Marasa. But I love like the large vines and like the spires in the background. I love the windingness of the trees in this one going up in the sky, kind of like giving you that like full like like movement like this throughout the entire piece. Now this one is the arch one, but you can see there's actually those little holes in the trees that is what forms the arches. But I love the little trickle of a stream going down into like the woodland pond. Ah, beautiful. Oh, and then finally, this buy a box promo, which I am firmly in the camp of, this is a bad thing to do, and I hope they've taken they've listened and be like, the community being like, don't do this in the future, don't make exclusive buy a box promos. That being said, it's not something I'm looking to play. It's Fire Song and Sunspeaker. It's 4 red, white for 4/6 that says red instant sorceries you control have lifelink. And then white instant sorcery spells cause you to gain life, yet bolt something. I'm just not a fan of this. Like, it just doesn't do enough for me. I mean, I already know what my Boros deck to be, and that's Angels. And yeah, it just isn't the kind of deck I want to play. Like, I could see maybe in like the 99 of like but even then, like, you're not playing like direct damage spells in EDH, and you're not playing like gain life spells in EDH, so I don't really know what it's supposed to be doing. The only place I can think of maybe putting it is Lycia Sanguine Tribute, the Mardu, like, life gain vampire. I can see maybe being in the 99 up there, but I don't have her as a deck. Maybe one day. I already have a life gain deck that I like though, so. Well, this has been my set review for Dominaria. Let me know what you thought, if you have any disagreements to my variations. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. I might do this for all like future main expansions for Magic, so yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed the series, and I will talk to you all later then. I know I've had a very Magic heavy past few weeks, but next week will be all about D&D. I have not forgotten about you people who came for D&D, although you're probably not at this point in this video if you are here only for D&D, but lots of D&D next week, so I will see you then. Alright. Have fun at pre-release, everyone. Alright.